The Four Agreements. Dun Miguel Ruiz, a philosophical summary of ancient Toltec wisdom. Introduction. The Dream of the Planet. Ruiz begins the book by introducing an ancient concept from Toltec philosophy, the idea that the world we live in is a collective dream, not unlike what Indian Vedanta calls Maya. From the moment of birth, we are domesticated, taught how to see, what to believe, what is good and bad, right and wrong. Parents, teachers, religion, and society imprint upon our minds a vast system of rules, judgments, and fears. Over time, we forget our true essence, the silent, free consciousness, and instead live inside this dream of the planet, a web of agreements we never consciously choose. These agreements from our personal reality. We agree to believe that we are unworthy, that life must be a struggle, that love must be earned. This dream becomes a prison of language and belief. Ruiz calls this process domestication. We are tamed like animals through reward and punishment until our spirit bows before the expectations of others. We become slaves to self judgment and fear of rejection. Yet within us lies an ancient knowing, a memory of freedom. The Toltec path, he says, is the journey of the warrior of awareness who breaks the old agreements and reclaims the power to dream consciously, to awaken from illusion. Thus, the four agreements are not mere moral rules but spiritual tools to dissolve the conditioning of the mind and restore the natural state of freedom. The first agreement: be impeccable with your word. The first and most fundamental agreement is be impeccable with your word. At the surface, it means to speak truth and avoid lies. But in Toltec understanding, it goes much deeper. The word is not merely speech, but the creative power of life itself. Ruth says the word is the power you have to create. Through the word, you express your creative force. It is the most powerful tool you possess as a human. Just as in the Gospel of John, in the beginning was the Word. Ruth sees language as sacred by vibration, a force that shapes reality. Every word is a spell, every sentence a seed planted in the fertile soil of the mind. To be impeccable with the word means to use this power in alignment with truth and love, not against oneself or others. The opposite of impeccability is the black magic of gossip, judgment, and self criticism. When we say I am worthless, I am not enough, or when we speak ill of others, we cast dark spells that imprison consciousness in false identity. This is the deepest sin in Toltec language. Not moral wrongdoing, but using divine energy to create illusion. Ruiz writes that society itself is built on this misuse of the word. Mass hypnosis through fear, propaganda, and belief. The path of the warrior begins when one purifies the speech, transforming words into instruments of truth. Thus, the first agreement is not external honesty alone, it is inner impeccability, the purification of thought and expression, so that they reflect the light of consciousness rather than the shadow of ego. To be impeccable with your word is to live in harmony with the creative intelligence of the universe, to speak only that which uplifts, clarifies, and heals. The second agreement: don't take anything personally. The second agreement strikes at the root of human suffering. Don't take anything personally. Ruth teaches that nothing others do is truly because of you. It is always a reflection of their own dream, their own agreements, and their own inner state. When someone insults you, they are projecting their own pain, their own programming. If you take it personally, you make their dream part of yours. You accept the poison they offer. He says, whatever people do, feel, think, or say, don't take it personally. They are dealing with themselves, not with you. The ego thrives on personal importance. The belief that everything revolves around me. This belief feeds endless trauma, offense, pride, resentment. But when you see that each person acts from their own unconscious conditioning, the illusion of personal attack dissolves. Even praise and admiration are part of the same illusion. They are projections, not truth. To take neither criticism nor flattery personally is to dwell in inner freedom. On a deeper level, this agreement reveals the impersonality of life. The universe is not centered on the individual self, it is a dance of energies, each acting according to its pattern. When one awakens to this, all conflict fades, for there is no other to fight. Thus, this agreement teaches detachment without indifference, to remain open, compassionate, and kind, but untouched by the winds of opinion. It is the Toltec way of non duality, to see all as a dream and oneself as the dreamer, not the dream. The third agreement, don't make assumptions. The third agreement unveils another deep trap of the mind, assumption. Human beings, Ruiz says, are addicted to interpretation. We do not see what is, we see what we believe about what is. He writes, we make assumptions about what others are doing or thinking. We take it personally, then we blame them and react with words and emotion. The mind hates uncertainty, it fills the gaps with stories. We assume motives, intentions, meanings, and build entire worlds of pain on shadows of misunderstanding. In Toltec symbolism, assumption is another form of black magic, an illusion that binds us to false perception. When we assume, we stop seeing reality as it is. We project our dream onto others. The cure, Ruiz says, is clarity, the courage to ask, to communicate, to see directly rather than interpret. But philosophically, the teaching runs deeper. Assumption is the veil of the mind itself. Every belief, every concept is an assumption about reality. The Toltec warrior seeks to see beyond assumption, beyond the filters of language, emotion, and conditioning, to pure perception. In that state, truth reveals itself without words. Thus, the third agreement is a call to innocence of seeing, the return to the direct experience of life without mental distortion. To stop assuming is to end projection, to end the war between reality and imagination. The fourth agreement, always do your best. The fourth agreement, always do your best, completes the circle. It appears simple, yet it carries the wisdom of balance. Ruiz explains that your best is not a fixed quantity. It changes from moment to moment. Sometimes your best is full of energy, sometimes it is weary. To do your best simply means to act from awareness, to give yourself fully to the present moment, not out of ambition but out of love. This agreement purifies the others because without effort, no transformation becomes living truth. It protects against self judgment and guilt. If you always do your best, you have nothing to regret. If you fail, the failure was necessary for growth. If you succeed, it is not a source of pride but of gratitude. Philosophically, this fourth agreement reflects the Toltec principle of action without attachment, akin to Karma Yoga in Indian philosophy. It teaches that the value of an act lies not in the outcome but in its consciousness. He writes, doing your best is taking action because you love it, not because you are expecting a reward. When every act becomes expression rather than performance, life becomes art. The doer dissolves into the doing, and action becomes meditation. Thus, this agreement is a bridge from effort to grace, from human striving to divine flow, the mirror of the agreements. Together, the four agreements form a mirror of self observation. When the old agreements, guilt, judgment, fear collapse, the mind becomes silent. The warrior of awareness awakens from the dream of the planet and begins to dream consciously, to co create reality in alignment with the divine. The path of the Toltec warrior. Ruiz speaks of the Toltec path as the way of the artist of a spirit. The warrior does not fight others but conquers illusion. The battle is within, between truth and falsehood, light and shadow, awareness and mechanical living. He says, you are the magician of your own life. Whatever you believe, you become. The Toltec warrior uses attention as a blade to cut through lies, to burn through self deception, to dissolve the dream. Through awareness, the false self dies, and what remains is freedom, pure consciousness creating through love. In this awakening, all agreements fall away, even for themselves. The word becomes silence. The dream becomes awakening, and the individual returns to the vastness of being, the return to innocence. At the end of the book, Ruiz invites us to return to the innocence of a child, not native, but unconditioned. The child sees without judgment, loves without fear, and speaks without deceit. That is the state of the awakened Toltec, the being who has unlearned the world's domestication. In this innocence, the four agreements are not disciplines but natural expressions of freedom. Impeccability flows from love, detachment arises from clarity, assumption disappears in seeing, effort becomes joy. Ruse ends with a simple but luminous truth. Heaven is always here. The difference is that we are awake or asleep. The four agreements then are not steps to heaven but ways of remembering that heaven has never been lost. Essence in summary. Final message, freedom through awareness. In the final spirit of the Toltec teaching, the four agreements reminds us that spiritual liberation is not found in renunciation or belief but in awareness. Every agreement we hold shapes our dream. By changing them consciously, we transform our entire world. The goal is not moral perfection but freedom to live without fear, without a judgment, without illusion. When awareness burns through the old agreements, only truth remains, a luminous silence, a free consciousness, a return to the divine simplicity of being.